Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this latest Business Gateway webinar. Pleased that you could all come along. We're over halfway through 2025, and we thought it would be an opportune moment to do a wee bit of exploration about what we think the key trends that are going to shape the business landscape in the months ahead might be. And we've pulled together a terrific panel of folks to help us and have a bit of a discussion, share their insights on that, what the emerging opportunities and challenges might be. So while we're waiting for folk to kind of get registered, what we'll do is just cover a wee bit of the housekeeping first. Everybody's on mute to avoid any background noise and distractions. We are recording the session, as always, and that'll be made available later on. There's an opportunity in the chat to put in any questions you might have, and we will try and get to as many of those as we can as we go through. But hopefully this will give you some kind of ideas and flavour of what's going on as the things develop, basically. So I think first thing, let's introduce our panel, or get them, in fact, to introduce themselves and who they are and what their organisation is. Colin, I'm going to come to you first on that.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colin Borland. I am the Federation of Small Businesses Director of Devolved Nations, who look after Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and we do exactly what it says in the tin. We're a membership organisation that exists to protect and promote the interests of people doing business in the UK.
Thanks, Colin. Sarah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Johnson, and I run a digital marketing consultancy to try and help our clients get more from their online channels.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sarah. And Jordan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jordan, and I head up the innovation and growth at Connect3. So Connect3 is a business and people consultancy, and I head up our innovation and growth side, which is looking at growth strategies, innovation, and just new ways of working.
And thank you all for agreeing to participate in our panel webinar today. These are, I think, always very enlightening, very enjoyable. So let's see what kind of discussions we can get into. Jordan, I'm going to come to you first, if I may. We have, as always, got some thoughts about what we want to try and cover. As I've said, folks can put in questions and we'll try and get to them. But I guess the first thing in terms of what we want to cover today is what we think the key trends are that are shaping the SME landscape in this second half of 2025, and what we should be perhaps watching most closely. Jordan, can I come to you first on that one?
Yeah, I mean, if you're on social media or you get any emails, I think everyone it'll be a wee bit of a no surprise, but I think AI is obviously one of the biggest ones at the moment. We're actually doing quite a lot of work in this space. I'm working with a lot of organizations, whether it's just discovering AI or whether it's actually then trying to move it sort of on to maybe giving them a bit of a competitive advantage. So I think, yeah, sort of working with senior leaders in this space primarily, it's really interesting to see that not only should organizations be looking at it, I think the reality is that pretty much everyone inside an organization is using it to some extent, whether, and I'm talking more about like generative AI than anything else. So I think there's a couple of things on that. Is just really, if you're not using it already, like start using it, because it's just going to be a part of our day to day, and we can see that even in new updates on our phones and things like that. It's kind of just becoming a bit of day to day. But also, if you do have if you are a senior leader in your organization, you don't have a policy, or you've done no training, or you're just kind of letting people wander off and do as they want, and you know that they're doing it, but you're just kind of brushing it to the side, then I would definitely say it's just about looking at sort of good governance around that, because the reality is maybe people might have their own accounts or putting sensitive information into that, and we really do need to be aware of it. But I'm very much an advocate of it, so I don't think about there's that little negative piece that there is there about data and privacy, and I think we just need to make sure we've got that governance of it. But the reality is it's going to drive innovation, which is something that a lot of organizations are a wee bit behind on or definitely need. And I'm seeing this as actually the tool AI being the tool to help and drive innovation inside the organization. So yeah, I'll stop rambling on there. I've hit hopefully a few key bits, but I didn't just want to say AI, Hugh.
No, smashing. Thanks for that. I mean, I think I saw today that Google in some way are launching some AI thing as part of what they do within the UK. So again, very topical. Business Gateway, we run a number of webinars, some of which have digital topics, and the most popular of those is a kind of introduction to AI. So we're giving folk the opportunity to get better understanding of what it's about. But no, absolutely, take your point. And I just saw something pop up there from someone question there. Are there any templates that are available for folk to produce an AI policy or kind of get governance on that? Are you aware of anything that we could direct people to?
I mean, I'm not being salesy here, but we actually have got this as part of our just sort of a part of our support that we give to organizations or give to free. So I can always actually ping that in the chat in a wee bit so people can go and look at that. We've got a toolkit, but what I would say is there's a lot out there already, and that's the great thing about it is there is a lot. So I think is just being forward thinking with that. So and let's not forget as well when we're looking at something like a policy, depending on the size of the organization, that might have to go through. You might be able to create that yourself and use AI to do so, and that might just be enough for your organization. Or alternatively, you might actually have to go through quite a long process in order to get a decent output.
No,
there's lots of tools out there. I can just ping in here actually a link to that. But we've also been working with Scottish AI Alliance as well. They've got great resources and tools, and that's all in this little pack. So I'll ping that.
Brilliant.
People can see that.
No, that's really helpful, Jordan. Colin, can I come to you in terms of those key trends? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, as you rightly say, we're now at the halfway point of the calendar year, and I think to have any sort of feel for where we're going, it's probably quite useful to just look back at where we've come from, because I mean, I think the word that sums it up for me so far is volatile. I mean, it's been a real roller coaster 6 months. I mean, if you remember, we started the year with a very disappointing end to 2024. I think it wasn't so much the golden quarter as a sort of brass 16th, I think, at the best. I mean, we were, and that was reflected in hiring intentions and everything else. Things came back a little bit in the sort of the end of the first quarter. In fact, at one point there was about 44% of small businesses in Scotland who were planning to grow, albeit modestly, or invest, albeit modestly. But that was encouraging because it was broadly across the board. But unfortunately, the latest figures are that things have shrunk back a little bit. So confidence is back down again. There are now, I think, for the first time since the pandemic, there are more small businesses whose sort of strategy for the next 12 months is to sell, shut, or otherwise move on.
Right.
And that's clearly a concern. Now, what's driving that? I think there's a number of things. I think we did have the quite funereal mood music from government and others at the start of the year. Seemed to be dispelled, but a few things are sort of kicking in a little bit. For example, for those, the sorts of sectors that are feeling the most difficult, and it is a very broad range, it's a mixed picture, but the people who are really feeling it are those in people-intensive industries. That's where the least confidence is to be found. And it's no surprise that they have been at the forefront of things like NICS rises, about wage increases, other fixed costs increasing, and also consumers being very cautious and every pound being a prisoner for them. So, as I said, it can bounce back. Absolutely. This is not a done deal, but that does depend on a number of quite key decisions that are coming up, going our way. So, for example, things round about planning, some reform round about skills. We are keenly awaiting the UK government's small business strategy or small business plan, which is sort of adjuncts to the industrial strategy, which is a very grand document and very laudable, but doesn't mean a huge amount to the sorts of people that we represent. So this is more day-to-day stuff. So the sorts of decisions that are in there, if they get them right, community wealth building, for example, how do we get more small businesses in Scotland winning more public contracts, getting a better, because we know that money, if it's spent local, it stays local, and it circulates around the local economy, and the value of it multiplies up. If we can get that sort of stuff right, then there's no reason why the second half of 2025 is going to be as exciting, because as Jordan and I'm sure Sarah will say, there's lots of really exciting stuff happening out there, and there's absolutely no shortage of innovation and talent and determination amongst small business community. We just need to let them get on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And your point there about procurement, though, public procurement in particular, what interests me there, though, is that in terms of SMEs in Scotland, only about 8% of them are actually apparently registered on Public Contract Scotland. So a huge proportion of SMEs are potentially missing out on something like 7 billion, just to take an example, 7 billion of procurement from local government every year. So there is an opportunity, I think, there for businesses to be more aware of what public sector procurement opportunities exist. I'd love to see that tackled somewhere and
Something
addressed.
like over 3/4 of small businesses in Scotland have never even tendered for a document. Sorry, for a public contract. Of
Yeah.
those who do, their experience is overwhelmingly negative.
Yeah.
That has to be tackled. You know,
Right.
and we have a chance of roughly every 10 years in Scotland to reform public procurement. The last one, we're dealing with the 2014 Act at the moment. The Community Wealth Building Act, or bill that's going through Scottish Parliament, is an absolutely golden opportunity to fix some of this stuff, but it's going to need proper teeth, because the sort of the decent chap approach, that if we just leave everyone to do basically, they'll all do the right thing, and they'll all take innovative decisions, and they'll all bundle up contracts, and they won't gold plate them, and they'll make sure that they're cut up in such a way that local businesses can bid for them. It hasn't happened. There's some wonderful pockets of absolutely excellent practice, places like Clackmannanshire, but we need everyone to be on that journey with us, and that's going to require an element of compulsion. The evidence is pretty clear in that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sarah, come to you. Anything you want to add to that?
I think kind of from a marketing standpoint, and again, AI is playing a huge part in everything that we're doing with our clients, is the fact that, like, first our kind of chat of digital transformation was before, and now this coming AI wave and trying to understand it, it does really bring a lot of opportunities. And I think this is the time to understand it and to look at the opportunities that you can. Like, when we think about what it used to entail to have a website even, or to have an online shop, or to run social media or pay-per-click campaigns or anything like that, it was really big, kind of involved undertakings, and you would have to use lots of different agencies. But where AI is really helping small businesses is it's opening up all of the digital channels to really help everyone make the most of it. So AI in particular can help you with your social, with your content ideas. It's a great first draft. It is really useful. So it's trying to make sure that in these slightly more challenging times, that the AI is a partner rather than something to be feared, but something that can help open up channels that weren't previously open to small businesses or small budgets.
Yeah,
and it is really something that we're seeing people moving towards.
And your point there, a first draft, I love that point, because it's not delivering the end result. It gives you something that you, as the human, then need to work with and hone and make your own, in essence.
Which is 100% true, because I think, and other things which we can maybe talk about later when we talk more about marketing and consumer trends, is people do still want human interaction. Like, we all spend so much more time online and alone that you don't really want a robot sounding voice. Like, it's a weird kind of dichotomy of the two, but it's a great helper. It's a great helping hand, but you're still in control. You still input to it and you decide the output.
Yeah.
So yeah,
no,
still human.
Just
Jordan.
Two of them actually, which is quite interesting, is we've actually, so we do tenders, so I actually deal with that quite a lot, and I've been thinking about how can I make the process easier. I was just looking in some of the comments in here about it being, difficult, time consuming, don't know if you're going to win, do you invest in it, so on and so on. But actually now, if you look at technology as well, and well, maybe that's the public contract Scotland, for example, I'm using that as an example, but that one platform might be dated, it might stay dated for the next 20 years. But actually now with technology and using AI, I'm using AI as that lead sort of one. It doesn't always have to be that. You can now maybe create the solution to the problem that you have without it being the platform's problem. So then you can start making it, well, could it be easier? Could I actually start assessing my own bids from previous bids that I've had? Could I draft up and write maybe 90% of this bid, and then the methodology, which is all about your ways of thinking, which is the human part, could I add that to it? And next minute you could actually start doing these a wee bit more easier, or you might, and the next minute you might win a 100 grand bid, and that could be a game changer for your organization.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Totally agree.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you, guys. Let's move on. With tech and market shifts accelerating, how can small businesses stay agile and ahead of the curve? I'm going to come to you again first on this one, Jordan.
I think it's about probably a lot about like having an innovative culture as well, right? So I think one thing we start to see is especially a small business, whether you start innovating from the very start, but then the reality is everyone just gets caught up on sales or maybe making the customer the best, and you just, whether it's project related or product related, that's all you're worrying about. And then you start forgetting about innovation, and it could even be a small thing of, do you know what, we probably need to get off an Excel spreadsheet now and start using a CRM system. And I've worked with organizations that are turning over multi-millions and might still have a spreadsheet, and they don't have a CRM system. But that's innovation, right? That's doing something differently. But it takes like a culture, the culture, whether that's of the individual, if it's a small team, or of groups, to actually change that and make change and drive change within an organization, so that you know that it's going to be for the best. But I think it's about the culture, really, and about staying agile. Because I think, touching on to what Colin was saying, like, the landscape is changing quite a lot. So you have to change, you have to adapt, and the only way you can do that is by essentially doing new things, and that is innovation. So I think if we've not got that in our sort of culturally, or looking at what that looks like, and even it's an innovation strategy or what have you, it's about sort of maybe potentially for any organization at any stage to start looking at that.
Yeah. Sarah?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it is a mindset. It's having that mindset that these are tools to help you. So it isn't something big and scary necessarily. I mean, obviously there's regulations and compliance, but it is a tool to help you. And so it's having that mindset to test and learn, to start small. And I think it's focusing on you and your business. So if you're continually like looking at all the big trends, they're maybe going to first show up within your own data and within your own customers and within your own business. So it's trying to keep a view on that as well. And focusing on, well, what is changing for you, and what are your sticking points now, and how can you evolve, and how can you adapt, and how can you solve those? And I think the other thing as well is just, it's like when back in the day we used to talk about, should we all be on TikTok? It's being selective with any tech that you are going to use. So you don't need to all of a sudden completely use everything AI and completely change the way that you're doing everything. I think it's focusing on things that you need to improve your business, to make you leaner, to make you more agile, to improve efficiency. So what tools can you automate any time-consuming tasks with, or what are your main problems, and find a tool for that, and start small and test and learn, and moving forward. But it's trying to keep the mindset of it's there to help, not to hinder.
Brilliant. Tech and market shifts. Any thoughts on that one, Colin?
I mean, the only thing I would say is, I absolutely defer to John and Sarah on the technical aspects of it, but I suppose regardless of the platform you're using, the basic advice is the same as it's always been, which is just to keep listening.
Right.
Listen to your customers, listen to your competitors, listen to your suppliers, listen to your wider network. Because if I've learned anything in all the years I've been in this business, it's that the most successful business people I know are the ones who are absolutely fascinated in the wider world round about them. That sort of caricature of the mono-obsessive business owner who just thinks nothing else about the P&L and and the next thing in the business. They tend not to be the ones who succeed. It's the ones who are sort of genuinely interested and have the broadest horizons. And these days, obviously, as the guys are saying there, it's a lot easier. There's tools to help you do it, but the basic skill is the same.
No, absolutely.
I think on that as well, like Sarah was saying, like there's a bit swear there, but there's a lot of tools out there, and I say this all the time, like just pick a couple, whether you've you know, even hypothetically, you use Microsoft Teams, you know, Copilot, you might have heard that, it's not as good. Well, go and use ChatGPT, go and get it for £20. That £20 will make a massive difference. And then you'll start to then see actually Copilot is quite similar. I'll start using Copilot, or, you know what, I looked at this tool 6 months ago, and then I come, as long as I don't, you know, bin it and just say, that's it, it's rubbish, I'll never come back to it. Next minute you come to that tool and you actually see, oh my God, that's actually the biggest issue I've had in my organization, and it's going to change it. And all I need to now do is input 3 things when before it took me, you know, hours to do. And I think it's about just always actually going back to it and reiterating it and making and having that open picture.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're just being a closed book and it's going away. And that opportunity will never come back again, basically.
Yeah. So stay open-minded.
Yeah, critical thinking. That's
Yeah.
for that. Having that's a massive thing, I think.
Brilliant. Okay. Just given that kind of thinking there, what practical strategies are helping SMEs stay resilient in today's unpredictable environment? Colin, you spoke earlier about the volatility and the dynamism that's going on. So what do you reckon are the practical strategies that SMEs might help them stay resilient in that very unpredictable environment?
Yeah, I mean, when you get down to the vast majority of the conversations I have with members comes down to 2 things, and that's cost and cash flow. So keeping the former down and trying to boost the latter. So that's things like, so again, so there's lots of things that you know that can be useful in that are spreading your risk. So make sure, again, and I know this is easier said than done in a lot of industries, but make sure you're not putting all your eggs in one basket with one, you know, large supplier who might find things are difficult for them. Sorry, one large customer might find things are difficult for them, and will just decide, right, okay, I'm going to use you as a free overdraft. I think also so things like that, things like credit control. But I mean, again, these are sorts of things that we sort of live and breathe at FSB, you know, in terms of how to cut costs. So whether that's things like bank charges, you know, insurance deals, etc., and also products to mitigate against risks. So things like, you know, employment law protection, tax investigation protection, etc. These are the sorts of things that, you know, if you can cover it, you're never going to eliminate risk. You're never going to be completely immune to whatever international wave might wash over us next. But at least it gives you more of a fighting chance.
Yeah, and interestingly, quite recently, we've been working quite closely with the Small Business Commissioner, because this issue of late payment is something that is vital and something that the Small Business Commissioner was totally all over. So we've been making sure that the kind of messages and I mean, things like contracts, a lot of businesses don't even have a contract. So when you get into a dispute on late payment, you haven't got anything to kind of rely on to say, well, actually what we agreed was this. So there's something in there as well about just being alert to getting things down on paper so that you've got a kind of situation control.
And I think that's where your point, I think that's where your point about the practicality comes in as well. Because we all know if you have got a massive customer, then suing them isn't exactly a realistic option.
No.
There has to be other ways of doing this. And again, we've been talking about this for a long time. It always gets worse when times are difficult. These big, and it's a particular problem with big private sector companies who will just kick down. So there has to be something there that makes companies responsible for the way that they pay. And the way that, and actually the reporting against the reporting standards. So yes, absolutely get those terms in place. But if they're not being enforced, make sure you know what routes you can go down. You can come to us because we've got a debt recovery function, but you could equally say, you can talk to the Small Business Commissioner, or you can get outside advice. Taking on massive suppliers on your own, I think everyone knows, is a very fast route to bankruptcy.
Oh, absolutely. Sarah, any thoughts on this one?
I think for my business in particular, things that we've looked at is simple things that we can do. So Can we still get online? Do we have backups? Little simple things like, are we making ourselves as secure as we possibly can? Have we got password managers? Have we got different passwords for different things? Are all of the platforms that we have used, are they updated regularly? Are we keeping on top of that? So it's just trying to mitigate those risks. And for us in particular, we work a lot online, so it's making sure we have access to everything that we would need if I don't have my laptop, or if I don't have something, can I still get in? So I think there is just some simple things that a business continuity plan can really help with, to just really focus on the things that you can do right now, today, probably for free, to try and mitigate those risks. But one other thing that we do warn our clients against is not to build your house in somebody else's garden. So if you have an online shop, so say, don't focus all your marketing on just the one channel that works, like, I don't know, a TikTok shop. It might work brilliantly now, but as we've seen, regulations change, you can get the rug pulled out from under your feet really quickly, and all of a sudden you've lost your biggest source. So if you don't own the platform, then you can't be in fully control about it. So you do still have to take a multi-channel approach, because things will change, particularly with things like social media, online shopping platforms, even using something like, I don't know, your email platform, have a backup in case something goes wrong, or you get booted out, or somebody's made a complaint. If you don't own that platform, you're not fully in control. So just be mindful of that.
No, absolutely. And just on that, what, again, I'm particularly concerned about, genuinely concerned about, is cyber and cyber attacks, because we have in the past run, again, webinars on that, and the Business Resilience Centre has done these kind of things. But the take up from businesses of getting the intelligence on what cyber attacks are about, how to protect themselves, the take up on that's very poor. And that surprises me, given the impact that such a thing could have on a business. And there was a wee story in the news quite recently there, 700 employees of a business, a haulage business down south, all laid off because they were hacked. And they were hacked because one employee had a very poor password. And because of that, 700 folk lost their jobs because they couldn't recover from the situation they were in. So it surprises me that we offer this ability to learn more about cyber, and folk don't take it up. So that does surprise me.
I know. I also think it's just, I don't know, this could be completely wrong, but my opinion of it is it sounds really scary. It sounds like something that I won't be able to do. It sounds like, oh God, cybersecurity. I don't know, it sounds really futuristic and not accessible, when really there are simple steps that you can take right now.
Yeah.
I think it's all just badly branded, cybersecurity and digital transformation and artificial intelligence. Sounds like it's not for me. But like, as a small business owner, as well as a marketing consultant, it is things that you can easily do. So it was luckily working with Business Gateway that we kind of pulled together. Continuity plan, you had quite a lot of stuff online, and just helped us with passwords, just basic things that you can do to mitigate risks. It's really hard to mitigate all of them, but there's definitely little steps that you can take that just makes it easier.
It's all the boring, it's all the boring stuff, that no one,
Exactly.
you don't want to do, you don't like, you need to do
I
it.
know, tomorrow.
It goes at the back, and then next minute, something happens. Yeah, I think, by the way, I'd actually listened to a really interesting podcast about cybersecurity, and again, whether I've been working with organizations or went into organizations, what's really interesting is no one has just a password security, like, whether that's like a one password or that there's loads out there. Have that is one of the big, and then from this podcast it was on about hackers, and there's actually like a big group of young hackers are coming in through gaming, and they're obviously like some Marks and Spencers, a few others were shut down the other maybe about a couple of months back. That's what they're doing for fun, like fun, not to make money, just for fun. So if you you can start to see what could end up happening, and maybe you don't think that would hit your business, but next minute, if you've always, again, going back to culture, if you had that culture from the start of, it doesn't matter, we'll worry about it, and then, you've went from 0 to 200 people in your organization, and you're still got that, then there is a real risk there. One thing that I think is quite practical that I don't think a lot of people do that often, and again, because it feels boring in some ways, is a SWOT analysis. Like it's something great for like or a PESO or something like that for mitigating risk. Like it gives you a chance to, again, thinking a bit more strategically, not being just doing the day-to-day and really just thinking about your customers or your product, is really taking a wee step back and thinking, you know, what are the strengths of this organization, of my organization? What are maybe the weaknesses? What are the threats? What are the risks? And then you can start to maybe think, well, where could I actually start to make a wee bit, you know, really start to make a bit of a focus on that. And hopefully, again, get it planned in your diary, chuck it in so that you know it's always there. Things like that, I think, are really, really useful, especially in times of uncertainty, because you just never know. One of those things might be the game changer for you as well.
Now, you, I think, just mentioned an amazing acronym there, PESO. Would you like to expand on that so that folk know what it is?
Can't remember it.
Right, so we need someone in the background do a quick bit of digging, because I think it's something like political, environmental, social, technical, legal, and something else. I can't remember what something else is. So that's what Jordan was referring to there, folks. A PESO analysis. We'll do a wee bit of quick digging on
which is
that.
quite simple as well. Just a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, what is it, opportunities and threats. I mean, I sometimes work with organizations, maybe when doing, like say, their goal setting or something like that. And before we start looking at goals or OKRs or anything, we would maybe just do a wee bit of a SWOT analysis. But I keep trying again, like I think a lot of business is like the terms are frightening in a way, or they just sound boring. So again, I changed it to like good, bad, ugly, and hungry. So what are you guys doing well? What are we doing bad? What are we hungry for? And what do we maybe think's risky? And you can, again, that's just changing your mindset, changing the shift, and then again you actually get a better output from it as well, or at least we see that. So I highly recommend doing something like that for especially in uncertain times.
Good stuff. And thank you, Kieran. My colleague has dropped me a wee note about what that is: political, economic, and social, and so on. Brilliant. So let's move on. Regulations are evolving fast. What's the smartest way for a small business to stay compliant without getting overwhelmed? Sarah, I'm going to come to you first on that one.
I mean, yeah, it is. There is a lot out there, isn't there? And especially just now, it feels like there's a lot, and there's probably a lot out there that I don't know. But I think it's trying to focus on those core areas of compliance that do affect everyone's business. So like tax, employment, trading regulations, and your online and data. And increasingly, we've been looking at tools to try and help with that, because there are quite a lot of tools. A lot of them are quite small and niche. There's sometimes maybe they're only for one sector, but there is quite a lot of like compliance management software and tools out there. So it is worth having a look. There's some sector specific, or there's ones like Compliance Pod or Symbian and things that can help, or even like just Cookiebot or Termly for your online things. It's trying to make sure that, I don't know, things that can help you understand what you need to know. And using third-party tools and platforms that update themselves. So if you use big platforms and you trust them, a lot of them will kind of inform you. Like we use Free Agent quite a lot, so that then informs of tax changes and everything that's coming in. So that can help us keep informed. And yes, signing up for regulation and compliance updates is also something that we have found ourselves having to do. It's not very exciting, but it is important. And it's places like probably FSB and Business Gateway and like ICO and Gov UK are all the kind of trusted sources, would be things that we would look at to try and keep on top of it.
Oh, grand. Colin, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think Sarah's absolutely right. There's a lot out there, and there isn't like unfortunately there isn't a simple one-line answer to it, because there's a lot coming out, and again, that's this whole fear of you not knowing what you don't know until it's too late. So I suppose half of my job is trying to tackle the problem at source. So try to make sure that government is producing fewer regulations. Those ones that it does produce are actually understandable, are clearly communicated, are proportionate, etc., etc. However, until we reach that promised land, that's not much use to anyone today who's trying to avoid a regulatory breach and everything that comes with that. So the other half of my job is sort of trying to sort it out now, and the amount of time and money we spend updating your legal hub with this, not just new regulations, but how regulations are interpreted, and particularly in the area of tax and employment law, where you get tribunal decisions and court decisions, which kind of give you an idea of where you're going. No one can be expected to stay on top of that and run their business unless they're an employment lawyer. So I suppose organisations like ours, yes, we can provide that. We can make sure those hubs are updated. We can make sure that the law, as stated, is either the UK law or indeed specific terms that apply in Scotland. And I mean, beyond that, I think, yes, get the advice, talk to the people, and try and work out what's critical in your business. And if you need to outsource it, outsource it.
If I was adept at AI, which I'm not, I just had a superb thought there of doing something with Colin parting the fourth as he led us to the promised land there. Jordan, thoughts on this issue of the fact that regulations are evolving fast and how small business stay compliant without getting swamped?
I suppose it's one, having your ears open, listening, practically just trying to think about, again, I was thinking a wee bit about AI. I thought you were going to maybe say this, Hugh. I thought you maybe stole my idea, right? There's if you think about noise and a lot of, maybe is there a way that you can actually bring a lot of that noise together? Maybe you could get a monthly report that came in that was looking at various places, like Colin's mentioning, looking at different resources. It comes in and it gives you a wee bit of a stop, and it's almost like your own personalized compliance newsletter that you've got. You can assess that, see if that's worthwhile looking at. Again, could you use generative AI as a sort of advisor in this space if you've not got, you need to have it, you've not got the budget to go and speak to somebody, you don't know where to look, so on and so on. I think about a lot of this, like in past when I've had my business as well, is you kind of don't know until the situation arises sometimes, and just having the foresight that things will happen and things will pop up, and that's when you have to react fast to get something in place, or again, if you need to get something, don't put it off. Try and get it, even if it is dependent on budgets or whatever, but it could make a massive impact. And then you can get yourself in muddy waters if you don't have it. If you thought about it, try and start acting on it, I would say as well. But do the basic, I think as well, do the basics, because I don't know, like Sarah, you might find yourself just goes on a snowball, and next minute you're instead of doing something that could have been hypothetically £500, you're now £3,000, and you've wasted all this time, and it isn't needed. Actually, all you need is the basics for whatever that is.
Would, in terms of that, would having the classic risk management system in place help that? Because that would perhaps identify what the biggest risk to your business might be, and therefore the ones you need to focus more on in terms of what do I need to be compliant with, and what regulations do I need to be absolutely on top of. Do you do that? Do you have a risk management system?
Like a risk register?
A risk register, absolutely.
Something done. Again, you kind of find people are not, organizations don't really do it that often.
Yeah.
It is, it's a wee bit of a tick box exercise, isn't it? You do it and then you leave it to the side, and it's always been the same. But I do think probably in this, it's easier said than done, and I'm saying this, but I do think in this climate it is worthwhile to do and assess it every 6 months. Because there is quite a lot of change, isn't there? And there's a lot of new things popping up. So I don't think there's any harm in that. But I do think there is a bit of, especially a smaller business. Do we not think that one of the things that you just don't know what you don't know?
Yeah, totally.
So what are you meant to do until that thing pops up, or someone puts it in a document or whatever? You don't know about it.
No, and if you're a sole trader, I guess the issue there is you're the managing director, the finance director, the sales director, you're everything, and you're trying to keep on top of everything.
And again,
But I think what you said just there, Jordan, as well, it is having time, isn't it? It's setting aside a time. It's having a review to have a look at it, like half yearly or quarterly or something. So it is a specific task that you're then focused on and that you do at a regular time instead of like worrying about it or putting it to the end. It's just kind of being clear about this. This is part of running a business that needs to happen. This is a time that I'll review.
yeah, I mean, I guess the end point for all this should be that government begins to work like a business. In the business you've got, you would call it a single customer view. So you would know everything about, so there are, digital transformation efforts going on that I'm aware of, but we're still some way away from knowing exactly this is what your business looks like. You're an employer, and this, and you're in receipt of these reliefs, these tax credits, etc., etc. So this is the sector you're in, so you can get very specific updates just for you, so you're not having to wait through all of that. I think until we get there, though, you do need to rely on advisors. You do need that network of people who are looking out for you. So when there is something significant that's coming down the line, but it's a year away, and you go, yeah, I'm busy, go away. I've got a VAT quarter to make, I've got staff wages to pay by the end of the week. You need someone looking out for you who's going to point out and say, this is going to matter to you, or it might matter to you. Spend 5 minutes and have a look at it. And that sort of support and advice, I think personally, is invaluable.
Absolutely. That's really helpful. Let's move on again. Sarah, you've kind of touched on this earlier on, but let's maybe come back to it and explore it a wee bit more detail. Social media in 2025, how's it changing, and what platforms or tactics should SMEs focus on, or indeed
It is changing. This is something as well that I could speak for ages about, as you know, but I won't. I will try and be concise. But yeah, social media is quite exciting just now. And I think like our whole, like AI is just pushing it. It's trends that we've seen coming over, but it has like your traditional digital marketing has changed. And things to be aware of, like TikTok does keep growing. So TikTok was kind of previously, it was like small and upstart, and it was getting bigger, and it was young people, but we are seeing it maturing a little bit, and we are seeing its UK user base growing quite a lot. So 30 million people in the UK use TikTok each month now. And again, yep, a lot of them are kind of 18 to 25 and 13 to 17, but 25 to 34-year-olds make up about 34% of this now. And we are seeing that trend of the platform maturing, carrying on with older people starting to use it. And TikTok's different because it's like it's its own world. It's a taste driver. People use it to search, to discover, to shop, to share, to connect, to be entertained. It does do quite a lot. And its users create trends and memes that kind of trickle out into pop culture, if you like. So TikTok is definitely one to watch and consider whether it's right for your brand. As always, we would say before you step into it, be a user first. So before you use a platform for your business, try and use it for yourself and suss out the rules and how you can use it. But TikTok's got a lot of really good tools. Its shop is growing, as I know, because I'm currently in TikTok shop trying to buy a Labubu. I don't know if anyone else knows about Labubus. I do. I'm in TikTok live shops about them, but never mind. Another platform could be Blue Sky. Like obviously we've had a lot of people moving away from X and Twitter. We don't really have any exact figures about usage in the UK, monthly users, but it is kind of like a Twitter from back in the day. It's like an old school Twitter or X, and it is quite good for connecting with like-minded people, or for journalists, or for keeping up with news and opinions. So it's maybe one to watch, but I wouldn't put all your eggs in that basket. A good trend that we're seeing just now is that social is becoming search. People search on social now. So for the first time since 2015, Google is like below 90% of search, which is just massive. It doesn't sound very exciting, but with usage figures that they have, it's quite a lot of people not turning to Google first for search. And there's quite a lot of reasons for that. So we've got people moving into kind of different platforms like Amazon and particularly social to search. And then on the flip of that, we're also seeing Instagram has just announced that all their content is going to be crawlable by Google. So now social SEO is something to consider. So like how you can optimize your social content to appear both in platform searches and also on Google searches. So TikTok has lots of SEO features. You can use your hashtags. You want to make sure that you are using quite specific ones. And you can keep an eye on what's trending on both of those, and also try on Instagram and TikTok to post content that answers users' queries and to try and use keywords and natural language in those. So that is quite a big change that we're seeing, just this change in search. And also the growth in social shopping is huge. So social shopping, like I've said about TikTok, it's almost, I feel, like QVC now. So it's like QVC from TV has gone on to like Instagram and TikTok lives, where you have live shopping events, and there's definitely a consumer shift to be more secure purchasing things on social. So I would both check out TikTok's shop and Instagram shopping posts if you are in e-commerce or if you do sell things online.
Okay.
And again, just push authentic content. AI can really help. It can help come up with ideas, but you still want to be human. People want real content. They want to know the real you. They don't want things that look polished. People are aware of scams and overly influenced and over filters. So social is definitely a little bit more unpolished now. You want to share more of your real self.
So I don't know if you've noticed just some of the questions that will come up there. You've talked there about TikTok. You mentioned, I think, Instagram and the Google connection, I think it was. I noticed there was a query that somebody saying, so TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube. And one of my colleagues has just made the point that I think YouTube has grown and it's, almost approaching BBC. So what's your kind of thoughts around that? Is one better than another, or what?
I think it'll be different for everybody. So there's no kind of like definitely sack everything off and just use TikTok. It'll be different from everyone. So it depends who are your audience and where are they and what kind of product do you sell and how do you sell it, and where. So you want to go where your audience are, and you want to speak to your audience the way they want you to speak to them, if you like. So it is that kind of having a look at where are your audience. So for some, YouTube will be huge. For some organizations, that'll be a really big channel. It'll be a great way to broadcast, a great way to get your knowledge, your thought leadership, everything out. But for others, it might be much more tricky. So you won't have much to say on YouTube, or it might. So definitely it depends. So yeah, TikTok has a place, Instagram has a place, but don't feel like you have to use them if they're not for you.
Yeah. So are you seeing any changes in consumer behavior? You were saying there about, figuring out where your customer is. Are they on TikTok or Instagram or whatever? Are you seeing changes in consumer behavior?
I think, there's different, because platform changes are a bit more slow. So we're seeing now Google just isn't quite the Google that it used to be 10 years ago. It's maybe not, it's search results are different. Their AI pullouts, so the non-click searches are much bigger. So platforms do change, but it takes slightly longer. So we're definitely seeing some platform changes, like growing TikTok, the willingness to purchase online, who people are influenced by is changing. So people are more influenced by kind of your micro influencers. So people who have a more authentic voice for a more niche topic, as opposed to like your big, massive influencers or celebrities. People are looking a little bit more authentic. So we are definitely seeing some changes, in particular in search and social shopping. But I think just consumers' attitudes are changing. So we do have quite a lot of what we're calling like value versus values. So people do want like local, sustainable, everything like that. But then we've also seen a huge rise in people buying from Temu, because price is the biggest. It's the biggest kind of push for a purchase decision is the price, particularly just now. And so people are looking for value. They're looking for both price value and to be entertained value, or the experience of something. So value is really big to people. Values are important, but price is a definitive push just now. So it is something to be mindful of, and just what's going to motivate consumers. We've mentioned that search is changing. I think as well, we've been talking about people having great expectations, but it is like we're all users of hyper usable platforms that are personalized, that have AI, that have lots of budget behind them. So we all expect all of our kind of customer touch points with everybody to be really, really good. You want a good user experience and everything. We want to be able to get the answers right now. We want to be able to book online. We want to have a chatbot to instantly answer any queries. So consumers do have high expectations of both tech and customer experience. So experience and convenience is something to focus on when you're trying to win over consumers and new customers. And I think it's just think about what you want as a consumer as well, because we all follow these trends. Like, we'll think that we don't, but we probably do. So it is a focus on value and a focus on experience and expectations.
Okay.
I think as well with
Jordan.
I was really interested with this being just the topic of trends. So I actually used to be an ops director in a social media agency, and 3 years ago, the sort of TikTok shop was massive in China, but like didn't think it's going to come over here because actually that's not how consumers shop. And then you start to see that is. So something that's great for trends and trend spotting is social media. I am not a massive social media user myself, but the benefits of it, which is weird, obviously working in a social media agency. But anyway, we'll leave that. But I think actually like, don't look at social media as a platform to say like I don't use it, I don't see the benefit. Like get yourself on these platforms to actually understand what your customer is doing or using, and then you can actually start to see, again, looking across, usually America, China at the moment are the ones to look at what they're doing, and then think, right, actually, could I start implementing some of that? And you might start playing around with it and realize that it doesn't work. But you know what? Maybe if you start being an early adopter of something, in 2 years' time, again, that could be a game changer for you. And that's what you start to see. It's not instant, which is the world that we all live in as consumers. We want that sort of instant buzz or instant to see things work instantly, but actually it's a good way for trends and just trend spotting in general to see what's new and what's out there.
Okay. We hear, I certainly hear a lot about digital transformation, this buzzword, digital transformation. And I suppose, Jordan, I'm kind of keen for you to maybe expand on that. What does it really mean for small businesses trying to stay competitive, this idea of digital transformation?
Might need to speak to a Scottish enterprise advisor to see what that actually means now. I think a lot of it for me is, you know, I think like Colin had touched on about really listening and like having that forward approach. Like if you don't have that, how can you know what you need to transform in your organization if you're just kind of staying there the same, whether it's you're the business owner or whether you're a senior leader inside it? So I think it's about seeing what the trend, like, you know, being here on a webinar like this and actually listening, what are the trends, what are people saying, what are real life practical examples, and then you can start to realize how that can be implemented inside your organization. But I think something that we don't do enough is innovate, right? I don't think we do that enough, and I think like transformation starts from innovation is transformation. And I think it's about like really what does that look like. So don't just take what we're doing just now as the good thing or the right thing. Maybe there's a lot of things we could be doing that could take my business from hypothetically turning over 50K or £1 million to next minute generating 50 mil, and that could be 1 week of you actually planning out what this looks like for your, like taking a 1 week out to lock yourself in a room and really think about what this means for you, about like transforming your business, and using innovation that way. And it's a bit of a given that most things are digital now. So most things are digital transformation. You know, AI is probably, you know, generative AI is probably one of the biggest digital transformations that's happening as a generation. It's, you know, as Sarah saying, like even, you know, AI is changing search. Something I was going to also mention just briefly in there is again, like people are using AI as search. Like no longer is it you using Google, you're going to, you know, ChatGPT it or Copilot it or something like that. So that's transforming the way that we're searching for stuff, or it's transforming the way that, again, so something we need to also look at is like, well, let's not spend all our money in SEO on Google. Maybe we should start looking at new ways of working as well, and could we look at our SEO practice inside AI And, you know, if someone searches for something, can Connect 3 come up the top, or, you know, can whatever my organization appear on the top of that search with inside a large language model rather than them doing it through Google. So yeah, I think just for me, I think it's just about a lot of it with digital transformation is just really about strategically forward thinking, having your ears and eyes and everything open to consume as much as possible, and then having a bit of time to strategically think about what it really looks like and what it could be.
Right. Okie doke. I am very conscious that time is, as usual, slipping away from us. There's a few things we still need to cover here. Colin, I'm going to come to you and ask you this first. If someone's thinking of starting a business in 2025, what's the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I think do what you know. I mean, again, the sort of businesses that do best are when people know the sector, know the market, know the margins, know the contacts. Now, whether that's something that you've maybe been in a particular industry for 20 years and you know inside out and say, well, why am I doing this for someone else? I'm going to go and do it for myself and cut out the middleman here. Or if it's something that is a private passion of yours, and we've been talking about the different way people work and all the tools that are available to us now, and it may well be that you've just sort of like just started that side hustle and it's just grown. Like you say, like the TikTok shops, for example, which I hadn't heard of until about 3-4 months ago, until I saw someone I knew set one up, and I was like, oh right, that's how that works. So whether it's that, and whether you know it, and you know it, then you have the best chance of succeeding. I would also say, make sure you've done your sums. Go and talk to Hugh and his lovely colleagues at Business Gateway, because businesses that start with the help of Business Gateway do better as well. And also, again, I'm not here to sell anything, but make sure you've got some sort of representation or make sure you've got that little safety net behind you and a place you can go for advice that you know is impartial, not from someone who's trying to sell you stuff, because there are a lot of snake oil salesmen out there who see small businesses and inexperienced business people as a soft touch, and that's simply not on.
Okay. Do what you know, do what you love. I like that.
And if the one was you thing, all the better.
Yeah. Sarah?
I
What's
think
the one bit of advice you'd give?
I think it's particularly starting a business is difficult and it is scary and it is hard. So there's two things. I think the first one is just don't try to be perfect. Try and it's better to kind of to get your idea out there and to try it and to learn as you go than it is to get stuck in analysis paralysis and not actually start. So it's better to start and fail fast and move than it is to not start at all. So definitely don't try and be perfect. And I think just kind of talking about all of these things is remembering that it is for you. So a lot of these things are for you. Like there are tools out there that can help you. There are kind of platforms and techniques that used to just be for big businesses that are also available to you. So it's trying to keep that mindset of, I'm not going to try and be perfect, and I'm going to look at what's out there to make this easier. What tools are already out there? What could help me as I go? And yeah, ChatGPT comes up with some lovely ideas. It's great as a little person to chat over with a coffee, to buzz your ideas out with. It is. See if you can use them and get any ideas.
Brilliant. Okay. Jordan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think just echoing a wee bit what Sarah's saying is just get started. Like a lot of potential entrepreneurs or potential business owners, just think about it, do all the hard work, do all this research, do all this investigation, come on these webinars, do SWOT analysis, risk it. Just go and speak to somebody, sell that product, because if you don't, you're never going to figure out what the hell that product is at the end of it, or whether it's a service. And the reality is it's going to take you 6 months to a year to even figure out really what you want and really what that product is. So I would say just really start as early as you can, even if that is getting a chat with somebody, trying to figure out a couple of customers, listening. Could be a document, doesn't have to be a nice shiny website, like it could be a one-page document. But also I think just playing on the AI piece, like two really good use cases for it is there's a lot of different tools out there at the moment that if you're looking to create a product or even looking to create a lead generation product, you can do so within like 5 minutes. So there's tools out there. There's one called like Base 44, Lovable. I don't know if anyone's heard of these before, but they're really good at creating, whether it's a website, whether it's a dashboard, whether it's a product or a lead generation tool. And that might just be, that's the thing that gets your business going, or it can allow you to conceptualize and really visually start to see something. That would normally cost you 20 grand to go and speak to a developer, blah, 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 blah. You can pretty much do it within, I'm being honest, you can do it within 5 minutes. And we're using those type of tools internally at Connect 3, not only just to look at new ways of working, but actually could we have a new competitive advantage by offering something else differently out there in the market that again might cost us 3 grand to go and get a developer to do when it would normally cost more. So I think if you're starting out, using those tools, but AI as well, like Sarah's saying, my wife actually came down. So I'm entrepreneurial. I'm not just a stuffy, boring consultant, right? And I use AI all the time. Like I use it as my life coach. I've got like pots of it, so I set them up as different things, as like a life coach, a business coach. It could be your business partner, it could be someone to start with, could be a co-founder. You can create these little buckets and you can start using it and talking to it in that way. So sometimes one of the issues you have when you start off a business is you don't have anyone else around you. So you can now start using generative AI as that tool that you can bounce ideas off of and really get you going. And if you're not doing that, I highly recommend you go and do it, because sometimes a lot of it is just getting our heads out and onto paper or speaking to somebody.
Brilliant. Very conscious now that we have run out of time, but I would like to thank Colin, Sarah, Jordan. Thank you for those insights. That has been absolutely fascinating. Really enjoyed what you've said there and listening to you. Some brilliant pieces of kind of advice and guidance on that. So well done on that. I'd like to thank everyone who's joined us today for the webinar. Hope you got something out of that. As I've said, we've recorded it, be available later. And I know that my colleagues have been putting links to useful information and follow-up in the chat there. So thank you one and all for coming along today, and we will see you again. Take care. Cheers for now.
Bye.
Thank you. Cheers.